Good night. Blessings, my people. Welcome back to another episode of the All Over It podcast. As you know, we are covering it all. Today is episode 47. 47. Turning AI skills into income. I just want to say this from upfront. Understand that this is transferable. This ain't specifically only AI skills, for skills into income. Yeah. So as usual, I have a good one in store for you. You don't have to question that at all, you know. And yeah, as I been mentioning, even from the last episode, everything has been a build up, you know. We built up to this point. Last week was like a compilation of few of the previous episodes. This one is like, yeah, what we really, really want to know, what we really come and set out on this journey for, right? We could agree. Okay, good. So, as usual, let's tell everybody, leave some comments in the chat. Let me know who they are, where you're tuned in from, and just send some love. And likewise, sending love your way. And so, yeah, like I say, today on March 23rd, 2026, we're going to be diving into turning AI skills into income, specifically talking about my consulting procedure, but basically how a general consulting procedure does flow. Check. So if that's something you like, leave a like. As I always say, tell a friend to tell a friend, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. You know, as you know, we are on a journey to get our YouTube page to 1,000 subscribers. So don't worry. Oliver is singing it at the top of the mountains. I leave in them know all over it podcast. We are covering it all. Yeah, yeah. So like I said, last few weeks we've been building up something like a step by step ladder. We started with the AI basics. So if you don't know nothing about AI and you're interested in getting into that, you could go and check out that episode. After AI, we move on to automation because now that we know how to use AI, we building ourselves, we advancing our ideas, actually executing things. You know, the automation now helping us with easing the road, easing those repetitive tasks that you gotta do all the time, over and over, every day or every couple of hours, every few minutes, however you go. You know, and then once your business running, you optimize. Whether it be you're starting up, so you're making sure that you're setting your operations in a streamlined manner that when you scale up, everything running good. Or maybe you might be running for a while and you just notice that certain things keeping you back, keeping you plateaued, keeping you from elevating. So business optimization strategies is what you need. So, like I say, if those is things that interest you, go check out those episodes. I'm telling you, you're gonna get some good things out of them. Check. Now, today, I about to talk to you about how all of that becomes a real business. Because yeah, maybe you're doing your business, but maybe you want to, or people coming to you about consulting for them, doing things or showing them how to do things, planning projects, different things, you know. So, like I said in the beginning of this episode, yes, the title of this episode is Turning AI Skills into Income. But just realize that it's transferable. So even if you maybe doing landscaping, or let me say you in the agriculture field and you decide you're going to do agricultural consulting, or maybe you're an AI professional or expert, but you instead very knowledgeable about planes, let me say, or boats. You know, you could consult about maybe repairs or building a new project. You know, all these things is transferable, like I say. So basically what I'm going to show you here today is the process of how a consultant, whether you being a consultant or how a consultant you dealing with, that you coming to them for their service, going to be dealing with you, how the process going to flow. Check. So that what today is about. Blessings, my cousin. Big up my cousin Miguel in the chat. Appreciate you for joining, cause you don't know, love alone. Check. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull up PowerPoint I have here. And what I could say is a lot of people learning AI right now, they see the good in it, but they don't know how to turn it into income. And like I said, that what we have to talk about today. So we are turning AI skills into income. The reality most people miss is that people learning skills but not monetizing them. You know, so maybe you go, you take a course and you learn something, but you don't do nothing with it. You know, you maybe want to do something with it, but you're overthinking instead of offering. You know, so even if you overthinking to yourself, like, yeah, this is something that people might want to pay for, I might be charging too much. There's only one way to find out. Can't overthink it. Just, you know, take that leap of faith. You know, and waiting to be ready also is one thing that a lot of people do that keep them back, keep them stagnant, keep them in a place of, you know, no growth, just stagnation. You know, and one thing I could say is good to have skills, but skills alone doesn't pay you. You need structure in a sense of, yeah, you could know how to do something, but if you don't know how to let somebody know that you just do that, or if you don't know how to price your service, or even how to deliver it well in the sense of manage it and do it in an organized manner, it's still confusion, you know. So if I had to break it down, if you don't have no offer, you ain't gonna get no income. If you don't have a process, then you ain't gonna get no consistency. And also, if you don't have no clarity, you're gonna have no confidence. So if I had to say, like they say, Many aspiring consultants fail to make money because they focus on learning without application. A lack of clear offers and structure often leads to waiting for the perfect moment to start, which waiting on the perfect moment often doesn't come. And like I usually say, knowledge is power, but the application of knowledge is where the power truly lies because you could know something, but unless you're making use of it, it's just in your head and it's not really serving no one, not even you. Like maybe you might go and tell a nice story about how you learn how to do this, but other than that, you know, you have to offer. You have to put together your offer. So people don't necessarily want to hear your story. People want to see what you're doing, execution. So yeah. So that's why you need to think like a consultant. It's a shift. It's a big shift for some. And you need to really transition your mindset. So you're not just doing AI, you're solving a problem for a business. So to succeed, you need to shift your mind from merely using AI tools to solving real business problems. And remember, your clients invest in outcomes, not the tools. Your position is crucial for success. So like I say, the client ain't contacting you really about automation. They contacting you to help them save time, to help them save money, to help them scale. They don't pay for the tools, they pay for the solution, they pay for the transformation that you are offering. So that's why it's like a mindset shift that is necessary. And you need to, or we need to realize our worth, our self-worth and our self-value. And like the young people used to say, you need to pay me my worth and add tax. Yeah, yeah. So so you go. So now if I had to explain the consulting process from start to finish, in these slides they have, we say, the start of the process, the first four steps. However, we can dive into the whole process here. But just to touch on these points, attraction speaks for itself. Entry point. You need a entry point for your potential client, prospective client, to reach you, get to you, and for you to be able to meet with them and deliver that service. And then that's where the discovery call comes in. You set up a meeting, whether it's on Zoom, online somehow, or if you meeting them in person, you go and you discover what a problem is. And then after that, you get down to business. You do your diagnosis, you create your plan, and execute. So we're going to dive into all that right here, right now. So, like I said, the first step, attraction. So think on attraction like things like this podcast, or let me say your social media content. So let me say if you decide, what, I offering, like I say, agriculture consulting or AI consulting or business consulting, whichever one. You decide, okay, I am intentionally offering my services out to the world. First thing you gotta start with is attracting clients. So you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta let people know. Yes, in person is a good way as well. Maybe you have people in your network that you could let them know, hey, I offering these services. If you know anybody interested, let them know. But we in 2026, social media is the way. Free advertising instead of having to go put something in a newspaper or these different things. So attraction first, we starting with content. To build a successful consulting business, you need to position yourself. You know, you do that through valuable content and a strong online presence. So nowadays, if you leverage podcasts, your social media content, even word of mouth to draw in clients, that there is the most effective way. So like I say, maybe you offering a service and maybe you don't have a podcast, but you decide, okay, I know somebody doing a podcast. Let me go on their podcast and get interviewed by them to spread my reach, let people know what I'm doing, and all of that is promotion for you. Just saying, go reach out to Oliver, all over it. We all over it. Good. And yeah, you could start a podcast or you could join somebody on their podcast, be interviewed, spread the news, let people know, hey, I doing this. If you want, you could reach out to me. This is my contact. Bam, bam. You know, and that way people get an idea of who you are, what you're offering, and yeah, once they see that or hear that and that resonate with them, they gonna reach out to you. So now you move on to the next step. Hey Carol, blessings. Thanks for having you. You create your funnel, your entry point. So the entry point would look like, let me say, you on a podcast, or maybe you create flyers and promotions of your service. And with the promotion, you add a link. Maybe you put a link in your bio too, saying, okay, I offering consulting services. Click the link to check it out. People click the link, they now go to whether it is your website or whatever is your simple client funnel that brings them from, let me say, the attraction stage to actually being able to make contact with you. So like I say, for different people that would be different. Maybe you would decide, okay, I can make a Google form or a form to fill out from whatever platform you use, and you add a link to your farm, so then people go to the farm and they could fill out a appointment, or they could just fill out a few preparatory questions, like prerequisites, and then let me say you'll have your contact there. They could reach out to you. Or one thing a lot of people do, they have like a scheduling link. So I also have a link from, I'll say, Zikal is a platform I use for like a calendar scheduling app, that you could go on it, decide what hours you want to offer your appointments, and when you set your parameters. If you want to book out days that like you don't want to work, like we say, or if it's a holiday, you decide you take that out or so on, all that you could do, fix it up, and then once you post the link, or you could always adjust it after too, but you post a link to let people know, okay, if you're interested in my service after seeing this flyer or this video of me talking on this podcast or whatever it is, click on this link and it'll bring you to a scheduling app, direct booking. You could book a appointment and you'll maybe be able to read some info on an info page. Some people do like landing pages to the website, like I say, and then like they do that so that maybe if the person might want some more information, they could check it out. Watch a little video or read a little more information on their website or their landing page, and then go to the actual booking. So is you how you want to approach it, or maybe you could say, you know what, I can just start simple, and then after I can add a landing page, I can add all these different intricacies. But bottom line, you set your attraction, and we say bait, and then now you get your entry point, hook, you get a discovery call. That's the next point now. So now when you move to the discovery call is very important. I remember it's your first impression. This is the first time you getting to meet the client getting to meet you. So you know how they say, like, first impression is everything, first impressions last a lifetime. Facts. That's with everything. Whether you're meeting a new girlfriend, whether you're meeting a new business partner, whatever it is, you want to make sure things go smooth, give a good impression, especially on the first interaction. So a discovery call is essential for understanding the client's needs. So it's also very important in building trust, and asking the right questions allows you to identify real problems. So that sets the stage for effective solutions. So bottom line, a discovery call is simple, is to give the client an understanding of who you are, share maybe your qualifications, maybe so a little personal information about you, so they could get an understanding of who you are, and vice versa. You get to know more about the client, let me say the business, you get to know more about the person you'll be dealing with, like let me say the manager or whatever is the point person that you would be in contact with. And you know you both ask different questions, and the idea is to understand the client, identify the problems that they're facing, and build trust. Those are the three main purposes of a discovery call. So you ask questions, make sure you listen, because the idea is you come in there to solve their problem. So you got to know what the problem is. You got to lead them, tell you what the problem is so that you could solve it. You can't go in there and just talk and talk and talk and talk, and then you don't even know what it is they're facing. So you got to really sit down, do some active listening, and you don't want to pitch too early. The discovery call is so you could go and meet them mainly. Break the ice, let me say, icebreaker, if you will. So bottom line, the discovery call is not for selling; it's for understanding. So once you go in and you ask the right questions, like I say, you start to get a better understanding of the problem or the issues and bottlenecks that they're facing, that they're trying to resolve. Get an idea of what solutions you could come with, was the right and smart solutions that you could give them that could ease the road, solve that problem, get things out of the way, on to the next one. So basically, all in all, diagnosis. You do a diagnosis, you ask questions to analyze where things stand, to know how you guys have to move forward. you know so now, moving on to the diagnosis portion. You got to diagnose before you prescribe. When you go by the doctor that asks you questions, do different tests on you, make sure he know and understand what going on with you before he could prescribe some type of medication or some type of solution, or let me say if you tell you, okay, maybe you need exercise or whatever it is, he going to prescribe to you, meaning not just medication, but whether it's physical therapy or whatever it is. You have to ask questions, you have to diagnose, you have to understand the problem before you can solve it. Simple as that, So it's essential to analyze the current situation before offering solutions. You have to identify the gaps. You have to see the bottlenecks, see the setbacks so that you could understand. And then understanding and then seeing what resources they have, you would be able to clearly define the solution path to ensure effective implementation for the solution for this client. Solution oriented, long story short. Problem solving, we see a problem, we solve it, and we see how we could make sure deliver the solution in an effective, organized manner. You check? So, like I say, you really want to sit down, diagnose, analyze, understand what's going on. So, like I keep saying, you gotta understand where you stand, where you are, what's currently going on before you can move forward. Like, like some people would say, some old island people say, you gotta know where you're coming from to know where you're going. So same thing. And I just want to throw this in there, right there. I want to want you to realize that all of this ties into my execute with excellence framework. So if I bring it up, let me see, I zoom it in a little bit more. So the core are the principles. We need the phases. So the 5 phases of the execute with excellence framework is diagnose, number 2, clarify. So now that you diagnose, you get clarity on what the problem is, and then you can optimize, systemize, and then once you know, like once you get things organized and optimized and running smoothly, you could scale up. So I just want to throw that in there. We are always on the right track now. But yeah. So now, after you do your diagnosis, so yeah, before I get into that, like I say, the execute with excellence framework flows with this as well. You diagnose, you clarify, you optimize. So you diagnose what's broken, you clarify what they actually need, the client, and then you optimize, you improve. You see what you could fix, what's the solution, and you implement. And so before I offer any solution, I make sure I fully understand the problem. I make sure I understand the situation totally. So moving on, the importance of a clear proposal. So now you had your discovery call, you get an understanding of where the customer stands, what the problem is, and what they want, what their desired outcome is. Now you could put together your proposal. And a well crafted proposal outlines the scope of work, the deliverables, the timeline, the pricing. Basically, it clarifies and ensures both parties have the same expectations, minimizing misunderstandings, and establishing a foundation for success. So, bottom line, you put things like your scope of work, which is what exactly are the things you have to do. You put things like the timeline, how long it's gonna take, of course, your price, and the deliverables. Of course, if anything, you put a little description of what a project really about first and thing, but the most important parts are, like I say, scope of work, timeline, pricing, and then your deliverables. Deliverables is what you and your client agree is going to be what the final product of this project is going to be. So if we doing agricultural consulting and they say, okay, I want you to consult with me to build a chicken coop, then your deliverables is, okay, create a plan, implement in a sense of build this chicken coop, and the end deliverables is a chicken coop, whatever dimensions with whatever additions that they stipulate, whatever you put on that paper, that you say, okay, what you, the consultant, and the client agrees, okay, this, and this is what is going to be the end product, the deliverables, what you deliver to them, end of this project. Once you do that, everybody on the same page. So the proposal basically is to bring clarity to the process and the work that you as a consultant about to do. So make sure that, like I say, everybody on the same page, make sure you don't have no misunderstandings, make sure it ain't that, okay, the work start and then maybe they check in, they want things do different. So they might ask you to add something or different things, and all those things is why you have a proposal to safeguard you, safeguard them, make sure that you don't give them less than they supposed to, and they don't try to make you give them more than you everybody agreed on. You know, anything else is either a new proposal or, like I say, outside of what's agreed upon. You know, so once we sit down and we discuss this proposal and we say, okay, this and this and this and this is what we want, that's what it is once we sign a paper. If anything else have to be added in, you do it before you sign any papers. Because let me say, like I say, you want to build a chicken coop and you decide, okay, maybe we building it up and thing, but then afterwards you decide, you know what, I want to add like a feeder with a silo. You can't just go and throw that on the consultant. That have to be stipulated from the beginning. So once you sign a paper, that they are gonna be like, after this done, then we could deal with that. Or if anything, that gonna be separate to this. So like an add-on. And then price add-on. Good. So like I say, if it's not written clearly, it doesn't exist. Bottom line. So that's why a clear proposal is important. You make sure everybody on the same page. You make sure that you safeguard yourself, safeguard the client as well, and that the project goes smoothly. So now you got your agreement. Once everybody agree to the proposal, once both sides in agreement that, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to give you once this project is done, then we agree, right? I agree with you, you agree with me, we in agreement. So you sign an agreement, contract, you put together your contract. So establishing a clear agreement is crucial. It ensures professionalism and builds trust as well. So reviewing the contract thoroughly, clarify the payment terms, and ensure understanding to facilitate a smooth collaboration. So bottom line, your contract or your agreement is just a formal document, whereas both you and your client going to sign that outline basically what's in the proposal. Like, okay, this is what we agree upon. Both parties agree. Good. What could start? So now, once your client review your contract and they in agreement, they sign a contract. They, let me say, the payment terms are set. So whatever the payment terms is, whether you decide, okay, I want 50% upfront, or I going to do a percentage deposit upfront, and then pay me incrementally by milestone, or maybe you decide, you know what, is a friend, so you're going to maybe waive prices till delivery. However you want to do it. My recommendation is, don't do like the milestone, because that there does kind of cause confusion and hiccups depending on the client. Not everything is a situation, but depending on who you're dealing with, it could cause some little mix up and thing. It's better to say, okay, give me a deposit. I know I could cover what I need to cover to get this delivered to you. And then once I deliver it to you, you pay me the rest. And on this point, one thing I say too, deal with good clients, trustworthy clients, people that you know going to deliver, people that you don't gotta worry about that you gonna get your money and all these things, like the old people say, not all money is good money, meaning not every client you have to run after, not every person that have a dollar you have to chase after, so you gotta know and see for yourself in the situation and feel it for yourself, read the situation and know if it's good for you and the client, but good for you for sure, you gotta make sure it's good for both parties. Gotta make sure you feel comfortable, you happy with the, let me say, the price that you set. You got to make sure that the client is content, they feel good about what you're going to deliver and all that, So try make sure you get people that you feel happy, you feel comfortable to deal with. And yeah, life can just go smoother, plain and simple. So now that you have put out yourself, you promote your services, you get people attracted and interested, and they reach out to you, they decide, you know what, I want to speak to you about my problem, I need you to solve it. And now you meet, you decide this is the agreed upon terms, you sign the contract. Now the work officially start. Now it's time to execute. I would say this part is probably the most important part. This is the most important step. Like you know, you my regular viewer, so I always on here talking about execution. We in the season of execution. I always tell her that, right? I tell her that we foot on the gas, so we making sure we execute with excellence. So we ain't just executing it. We making it look good while we doing it too. Yeah. And not just making it look good, but we doing it good. We doing it the right way. We making sure that it's pleasable to your customer. Good. And now, yeah, we executing. So bottom line, I would say this is the most important, because you don't take the people money. You don't tell them, okay, yeah, I can do this. So you sell them on your services and on your capabilities. So now it's time for you to deliver. Show them that you really about what you say you're about. You know? Don't just take the people money and waste the time and just keep kicking things down the road, and then when they reach out to you, yeah, you won't do nothing, or you're making no progress, and then it just prolong and no, don't be that guy. Don't be that person. No, we making sure we have a good reputation. We making sure we give good service to our people, and we making sure that our clients, when they deal with us, they want to come back. They want to tell a friend. They want to go sing it on the mountain that, yeah, Oliver helped me. David helped me. Carol helped me. Yeah. You gotta check them because look, if you want to feel good like me, you gonna go check them. Yeah, that's the feeling we want, right? We want people checking like, okay, I hire him now, but he finished the job, but it wasn't all that. He really do such a great job. I see little pieces could have been a little more better. Or even worse, yeah, I hire him, but I'm still waiting. You know, he still ain't finished the job and keeping me back, because I want to get this done, but he still ain't finished. All that's bad on your reputation, making you look bad. Other people ain't gonna want to come to you. You yourself ain't gonna feel good after a while and be checking by. You're gonna have like an imposter syndrome, which we're gonna talk about a little later. But you're gonna feel like you yourself feel like you can't deliver. So even if you go and you promote yourself, you're gonna do it in a manner like you don't really all the way in because you don't feel it because you're checking like why last time I put myself out there I didn't do it now, and I may just end up doing the same thing with these people, but even if you went through that experience that maybe you put yourself out there and let me say maybe you wasn't ready, so you put yourself out there and you went forward, but you didn't follow through and you didn't finish, and so let me say the people get a bad experience and you get a bad stripe, a little tarnish in a sense, and now because of that you feel a little demotivated to go and promote yourself now and tell people like, yeah, you could do this service and so on. But don't count yourself out. Even when we experience bad things in the past, it's how we move forward that really counts. Even when we go through traumatic experiences, it's how we bounce back. So even if you went through that experience that you maybe didn't deliver as you expected or as you promoted or showed, you know maybe you sell people a world but then your feet didn't follow your mouth, or actions didn't follow the words, so I for sure you're not the only one, and I telling you, don't let that demotivate you. You can still overcome even now. you know all you gotta do now is tell yourself, look, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to tell myself, you know what? Even though in the past I didn't execute, I didn't follow through, today is going to be the day that I do. And I'm going to promote myself, and that next client going to be the one that gets the right olive, that gets the full package, that gets me where I'm supposed to be. And you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Maybe back then you didn't have it all thought out, or you didn't have it all set in stone. But over time, maybe you grow, maybe you build up yourself and you come to the realizations of why you held yourself back. And now, maybe is that time. So you gotta know for yourself. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, then I would think so. And this is probably your sign to dust them shoulders off, dust that dust off, and get back in a race. Because, like I say, our past doesn't determine our future, it's our present. It's what we do now that determines what happens next. So even if you was that person that didn't follow through, you can become intentional and say, you know what? I am going to execute. Because what? Like I say, to me, it's the most important part. You don't take the people money. I gotta make sure to keep stressing that. You already went through that process. Tell them, yeah, you could do this. Had a nice meeting and everything nice and thing, and sign contract and take the people money to do what? To not execute? No, man. We just follow through. We just execute, and with excellence. And when I say we, I ain't just me. I mean you too. Check. So, bottom line, the execution phase is where a lot of people fall off. Execution is everything. Successful consulting requires thorough build and implementation. So that's why I say after the contract signed, that's when the work really starts. Cause you gotta now do what you say you're going to do. So if you gotta build a structure, you gotta build a structure. If it's software, let me say if it's an automation, or you gotta do some AI, custom AI chatbot or GPT or whatever it be, this is your time. This is where you shine. This is where you show that you can really do what you say you can do. Check. So you gotta follow through. You gotta build, implement, do regular testing, and I recommend you to get feedback. So set up effective feedback loops. So in the sense of, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly or every few days, however you set with the client, that let me say maybe you going through the process of building out the system for them, but every couple of days you reach out to them and let them know, okay, well, look, I do this, I do that, and this is where we stand. Good. That now shows your effectiveness, but also builds trust on the client's end, because they see like, why, okay, he ain't just take with money and run. He actually doing what he said he going to do. And they would feel more comfortable and more involved when you, let me say, carrying them along the process like that. So think on like, let me say you want to order a Domino's pizza, and now they got like the bars that you could see like, okay, the man making your pizza, it just gone in the oven. It come out the oven and it gone in the box. It coming to you. Same thing. The excitement, the suspense that builds, the momentum builds, and when you actually deliver the project, it's like, okay, yeah, I've been waiting, like the anticipation of having it, because now you've been kind of giving them little nuggets and little teasers. So it's like, now, bam, when you deliver, it's like, wow, okay, finally I get to see it for myself, and they get to check it out, and so yeah, like I say, during your actual project phase or the actual execution phase, let's call it, you actually do the build. You build out what the system that the people requested, whether it's an actual structure you're building, like I say, whether it's software, whatever it is, the system that you building, that you was enlisted, that you was paid to do, you actually start to do it after you sign the contract. Because yeah, if you want, you could be proactive and start to do some brainstorming and maybe get yourself prepared for the project before. But I wouldn't tell you to go and start doing the work and start doing the bill before you sign a contract, before you start to get paid, because then you're doing free work. Yeah, when I look at it like, okay, you're being proactive, yes, which is good, but what are the 50-50 odds that maybe they don't decide to go with you and they don't sign the contract? So then you put in all them hours for nothing. Maybe you could still transfer it to some other offer to somebody else, but then when you do all that work, you want it to transfer into something, something tangible. Check. So implementation phase, execution phase, however you want to call it, project phase, the actual brunt of the project. So you do your diagnosis, your discovery, and then the actual sign in, and now you start. You build out, you implement it, you do testing, like I say. If you want, you could kind of do like another discovery during this time to maybe say after you start, you maybe ask some more questions to, kind of dig a little deeper if needed, you know, kind of refine it or make it a little more tailored to them, however you want to do it. Or maybe you might just need some more information, got some more questions. If that is it, then that is it, you know. And for sure, like I say, feedback is important. But yeah, execution, like I say, is where a lot of people just fall off. And for me, this is where I focus the most, because follow through is important. Like, you could be the best basketball player, but unless you get it in the hoop, unless you making shots, you don't really doing nothing. So like I say, you deliver, you actually do the work, you build out the system that you got to, and now you go through the process, you talk to the client during the process, and now you reach to the day, you reach to the final day, the days of delivering it to the client, making sure they happy with the output, the deliverables, the things them that you put together for them, and then signing off. So bottom line, during this time, you go through the final review. So like I say, if you smart, if you like me, during the process, you gonna make sure ask little questions so you could refine it so that when you reach here, kind of done. But this is the final review. Fun fact or tip for me, when I put in my contracts or my proposal, I'd put, okay, once the deliverables is delivered, you have one round of, we say, adjustments or edits, and then deliver. Anything else after that is additional. Because some clients, they're gonna come to you and they will say maybe you don't deliver it, but then maybe in their head they had forget something that they wanted to add, or maybe they see it and they're checking by, they want you to put this or take this away or do this and do that. Like I say, this point now is where you deliver. And this is final review. So the client need to go through it thoroughly and give you notes on everything that they see they want to fix. Like I say, if we were smart, we would have done be doing that during the execution phase so that they could make this phase easier. But bottom line, you have to ensure all deliverables meets client expectations. So now, like I say, that's why you have a final review. If they have any necessary adjustments, you make the adjustments. After the necessary adjustments, you gain final approval. And gaining approval here is crucial for successful project completion. It sets the stage for future collaborations as well. Because like I say, if you notice this is a client that now they want to add all kind of new things and they want to tell you, okay, look, add this or do this and do that. You don't get an idea of how things would be moving forward, you know? So, like I say, it's about you as a consultant to wrap your mind around, okay, ain't just me working for somebody no more. It's me providing an offer. I have to make sure that I deliver well and that the client is pleased with what I deliver to them. And once they approve, that's check in the box, money in the bank, and everybody happy. Like I say, you hope or once things go well, it sets the stage for future collaborations. Like I say, future collaboration could be maybe they want to do another project with you afterwards, or it could even be okay, they now become a referral in the sense of they go and refer, or not refer, they go and let me say tell people, so they now become like an affiliate in a sense. But yeah, they go and promote you to other people and bring in added clientele. So, like I say, this part is crucial. You have to outline exactly what is the deliverables. Make sure when you reach this point that the client likes or approves what you delivered and that they approve that, okay, this is what we asked you for. Like I say, in this final stage, they can ask you for final adjustments. But once you make those final adjustments and they sign off and say, yeah, okay, well, we approve that this look good, this is our money worth, we happy with what you give us here with your offer, this project is done. Usually you'll sign a offboarding contract. So let me say like a project completion, or let me say, so like let me say you had a proposal and your contract to start the project. Now you have a contract to close the project, meaning in this contract it'll be signature from both parties, and on that contract stipulating, okay, both parties agree that all the deliverables was met and everything was done, so project is complete. Good. So you sign off. But after you sign off, you try to make sure you retain the client. So, like I say earlier, Not all money is good money. So if you see like this is a client that will give you a hard time moving forward, okay, yeah, maybe you might tell yourself you need the money right now, but is it really worth it? Is it worth your peace of mind? That's a question I always ask myself, you know? So, like I said, not all money is good money. And here, at this point, if you see like why this is somebody I like dealing with, you see like okay, the chemistry between you and the client is good and they like dealing with you, you like dealing with them, and you could see like okay, yeah, they got opportunity for growth in the sense of like other projects and other things that you could do. So let me say like if you are a consultant like me, even from let me say the discussion and the discovery call, let me say if they tell you, okay, I want you move this cup from here to over there, you're gonna automatically or in the conversation, maybe they mention to you about another project, but you see like, okay, this is a solution that they're gonna need to moving forward. You know, all of that. That's signs of a good consultant. Whereas now, okay, this project done, you could offer maybe a retainer, or you could know that that project done, mention to them, hey, in our first meeting, you mentioned to me that you facing this issue with this other problem. Maybe we could look into that. If you want, maybe we could start a project on that as well. You try to build lasting relationships. So building lasting relationships with clients is crucial. Ongoing support, retainers, things like that could lead to future projects, ensuring that one successful project naturally progresses to the next opportunity for collaboration. So, you make it that it ain't just one and done, you know, that, you see room for growth, room for progress and continuation. Like they just okay, you come in, you deliver, okay, that done. Now you gotta go look for a whole nother client. So yeah, okay, it might be cool and all well and done if you got people reaching out to you left, right, and center. A lot of clients want to work with you, and so you don't have to worry about keeping this one client and retaining them. So maybe you checking, okay, I don't mind this project done, and then I go get another client and just work with them. Yeah, all that's doable. All that you could do too, and all that's well and done. No harm in that. But they have like let me say they just have pros to building these lasting relationships. Firstly, you don't have to go through all of that discovering and getting to know the client and all of that. You if you know just building on that first project and doing other additional opportunities with our same client, you know them already. So you don't know what they need, you know what you could offer them, you know where you could, how you could deal with them, where you could go, where things could go, you know. But now, if it's a new person every time, you gotta know, talk to them, meet to them, get to know them every time, you know. And honestly, it's easier to sell a product to somebody that you're already dealing with or that already dealt with you than somebody that you never met before, and all these different factors. So like I say, things like ongoing support, maintenance, having future product projects maybe even lined up is ways that you create longevity in your business, and that you, like I said, build lasting relationships with clients that could honestly bring you far. So things like upselling, retainers, things like that are important at this point. So like I say, project done, everybody agree, like, okay, this is the deliverables. I happy with what I get. Okay, cool. Once you happy, I happy. Okay, maybe if you want, you could keep me on a retainer, just pay me this amount every month, and or if you want, if you need ongoing support, just give me this amount, and I'll come check up on it, make sure everything running good. I'll provide advice and such and such. So bottom line, one project should lead to the next opportunity. And when I say that, I mean not necessarily from a whole new client, because like I said, then that's a whole another process, but it makes your job easier dealing with the same client. So yeah, that's a process. Now, to just share some tips and some realities of the situation, some overcoming some barriers to success, you know. I guess here's where really bringing some reality into things. A lot of people have fear of charging, so you have these skills you build up yourself, maybe over the years, you hone your skills, through experience, actually do these things. You now reach a point that you could offer consulting services, but you got fear of charging, or you feel like you're charging too much, or maybe you feel like you don't want to charge too little bit, but you don't want to charge too much either, and you don't really know where you should go or what you should do. You know. And next one is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome mean like you're saying you could do it, but you don't really feel you could do it. In the back of your mind, your subconscious telling you like, "Why? I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can actually succeed." So let me say maybe you went out, you gained these skills, like I say, you gain experience, so you really know what's going on. But because now, like, money on the line, because now is like you're doing things for other people, you feel like a level of anxiety, let me say, and you're checking like, "Bye, am I sure I could even do that? Bye." So now it's time to feel like, "Bye, I might be an imposter. I might be saying I could do this, but I can't really do that." Nah, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You know what you know. Don't need nobody to take that away from you. Not even yourself. You might try to take that from yourself, but don't let that happen. You know. So another thing is lack of structure. Maybe we might have the skills, but we don't know how to deliver it, in the sense of, like I say, maybe you good at some type of agricultural process, but you don't know how to promote your service or even promote that you could do it. Because sometimes you don't even have to promote that, yeah, I sell in this service. Maybe it's just you put up a video of a process that you just do, and people contact you like, "Yo, you do that? I want you to do that for me." That's consulting too. So a lack of structure also can be a barrier, because now, like I say, maybe you're doing the process, but you don't sharing, you don't showing that you could do it, or maybe you posting on social media or wherever that you could do it, but if people reach out to you, you got no way to like actually deliver the service to them. You don't know how to maybe price it, or you don't know how to actually deliver it, execute it in a structured manner, meaning like organize yourself to say, okay, this is what I need to do it. So a good example, maybe you are a good farmer, you good at maybe building chicken coops, so you knock up a chicken coop quick, but now somebody asks you to put together a plan, and you check and buy. I don't know what all I need to build lana. I know I need wood, I know I need zinc, I know I need nails and screws, but what all I really need for that? So structure, all that structure, you know. So when you build that structure, you put together that process, okay, I just do it like this. And now you decide I can sell that service, or like I say, you don't have to decide for yourself, but now somebody reach out to you, they're checking, okay, I see you could do that and I like how you could do that. I want you to do that for me. You could tell yourself, okay, cool. I could do that for you. This is my price. Once they agree to the price, you I would recommend have them sign contract, make sure everything on paper, because you don't want nobody come and say, yeah, well, you say you're going to do this, but you won't do that, or they come and tell you another thing and that wasn't never the agreement. You don't want that. So this is why paperwork. And then yeah, overcomplicating. Overcomplicating is a reason a lot of people don't start, or a lot of people maybe might have the skills to be a consultant, but don't do it. So they overthinking things, they checking like they just feel like the process to do it is complicated. So even all of that is why this episode is so helpful or crucial, So maybe you might know somebody that know something good, have the skills to be a consultant, but they don't know where to start or how to actually offer the skills, or maybe they want to, but it's so in their mind that they ain't even starting nowhere. So send them this video, because they'll get a good sense of direction on how they could structure themselves and put together the offer. Like I say, whether it's you, the AI consultant who building some automation or building some custom AI GPT or so, or even down to the farmer who have his farm set up, and maybe somebody see how he set up a certain aspect of the farm, and now they want him to come and consult and do the work, or let me say implement that by them as well. All these things is the same thing, so you try to not overcomplicate it, so even you as a farmer, you know we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just try our best. A lot of people just try their best to reinvent the wheel, but in life we don't have to reinvent. If we was to just keep things simple, things will run so much smoother. Check. So, like I say, don't overcomplicate things. That was the last one. Going back over the three others. When you have a lack of structure, when you have imposter syndrome, or when you have fear of charging. Maybe you want to charge, but you don't want to charge. You know what I mean? Like your skills are worth value, are worth something. So you gotta get paid for your service, but you're checking by, people gonna even pay me so much, or am I even worth that much? Or then you're checking, you don't want to buy yourself, and then two tools you're checking, you don't even gonna start because you don't know where you should price yourself at, and everything out the window. Check. So yeah, all of that. Blessings, my brother. Big up yourself. Appreciate you for joining. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My college brethren, alumni brethren. Yes, I appreciate you for joining, man. Blessings. So now, like I say, what we are doing, we overcoming common barriers. We overcoming obstacles so that we could execute, and so that we could reach to success. So like I say, many aspiring consultants, they face fear of charging for their services, which is often rooted in a lack of confidence or a lack of structure. And then they overthink things, and that can prevent them from taking the first step towards success. So, bottom line, it's so deep in your head and you're confident in yourself or that you could deliver. So, you're just like your head just spinning and you never get started. But taking that first step, even if it's deciding, you know what, I going to actually offer this and put yourself out there, checking like, okay, now I post that I'm a consultant, it ain't no going back. Like, if that's your first step, let that be your first step, but take the first step towards your success, and yeah, bottom line, the real thing is to focus on the solutions. Actually execute. Like I say, yeah, you want to make sure you give the people a good impression. You want to make sure that your interaction with them is good, but you sign up, they look for you so that you could deliver. So you got to focus on delivering. So success in consulting requires clarity, so understanding the problem, having a good structure. So you as a consultant being structured in your delivery, and then execution, making sure you deliver what you say you're going to deliver. So by honing these skills, consultants can effectively solve problems and provide value to people, which leads to sustainable income and growth opportunities. Yep. Yeah, I recommend you start today. Start today. Begin by leveraging your existing skills and knowledge. So you know something that somebody out there probably need, want to know more. Leverage it. Identify real problems in your environment and take action to provide solutions. When people see you actually have a solution to this problem, they're gonna come to you. You check. Every small step contributes to your growth and success. That's my recommendation to you. You check. Now, like I said, this all connects with the previous episodes. It's been like a build up. Like I say, it's like a series we put together now. So we start with the AI, the tools, then we went to the automation, which is the efficiency, doing things smoothly, making sure things running smoothly, no hiccups. And then optimization, making sure everything performing, all cylinders, everything just running how it's supposed to. And now the consulting, you monetize. So even if it's that, okay, maybe you build something, like I say, maybe you got a process that you just do that nobody else won't do. And you show the world. Now you show people, use a consultant, you start monetizing. So this is how everything connects. This is, let me say, the bigger picture of what we really been discussing these past few weeks. Check. So yeah, like I say, my call to action to you is start today, execute with excellence, stay consistent, and take action. So that being said, in preparing for this episode, I was reflecting and I think back to even a few years ago, like maybe like 2 years ago, I remember watching some videos from this lady on YouTube, and she ended up having a series about how to build a consulting business. And I was quite intrigued. Let me say it like that. And I follow the series, I make some notes in my phone and, you know, checking like, okay, if I can start a consulting, I need this, I need to do this. Because, you know, I always realize like I know things. I does invest in my knowledge. I does make sure increase my knowledge and like we say do certifications or different things, experience to increase my knowledge base. And I always say to myself, like, you know what? I could be a consultant. You know, I know things people would pay me for. And like I say, watching her videos, I was intrigued and I made notes. And in preparing for this, I come across some of those notes. And even before that, like, you know, in getting my consulting practice, let me say, my consulting business together and formulating my, let me say, documents and my approach, how we're going to do things, my, you know, discovery, my everything. I realize I end up referring back to those notes, and you know, it's a wonderful thing to see steps you take actually develop or actually manifest into something, you know. And yeah, I know I say like I see them videos and was looking into this since like maybe like 2 years ago at least. I watched those videos and was saying like, "Bye, I could be a consultant and I'm going to be a consultant. Let me put together my offer and you know put together my structure, how I'm going to let me say deliver my consulting services, like how we just discussed." And yeah, like I said, some might feel like, okay, yeah, it been prolonged, but for me, I feel like God's plan, you know, everything in its time, you know, and like I say, right now, I am surely in my season of execution. And maybe before I had different plans that I say, yeah, I want to do this or I could do that, and maybe might start up and don't follow through. But now it's follow through. I am being very intentional about the things I doing and going to do, you know. So, like I say, and I even suggested in earlier in this video, you know, even if you is that person that maybe you feel that imposter syndrome or you feel that feeling like, by I say I'm going to do it, but I never get it off the ground and I don't believe in myself that now we're going to do it. You know, maybe you might be that person that doubting or just don't have that confidence in yourself that you can do or execute, you know. Don't leave those inner thoughts keep you down. Don't leave those inner thoughts keep you back. You need to conquer. The mind is a battlefield, like I just say, and we just wrestle with a lot of negative thoughts, but it's up to us to overcome, subdue those and overcome them and actually break through and break out to our own personal growth, you know? That was powerful. Anyways, yeah, so bottom line, it just full circle, you know, to think back on back when I was watching them videos and how now it actually manifesting and I actually doing things with it. And like I say, some you might be watching this and thinking to yourself like, "Bye, been saying I want to do some consulting now, but People ain't gonna want to pay me for what I know, man. Or I try already now, and people didn't even reach out to me. I ain't getting no feedback. Nobody ain't even answer my post or anything. All of that's part of it. But don't need that discourage you. Don't need that stop you. You keep trying. If you post something this week and you don't hear nothing, post something else next week. Okay, maybe you don't want to be so aggressive. Maybe next month, every 2 weeks. You know, but consistent, consistency. I always preaching that here. So I encourage you, start where you are. Don't wait to be perfect. And that's coming from somebody like me who is basically a perfectionist. Like I could tell you, I speaking from experience. I telling you this from being somebody who would say, yeah, I can do this, man, and never start. Or maybe start up and never finish. And maybe say, okay, I want to do this, but then tell myself, okay, I'll do it, but then I'll do it like this, and then I'll add this, and then add this, and I'll do it like this, and change and pivot, and then by the time you check stock, you won't start nothing. So nowadays, either get started, start with what you have, do with what you have. You have a song like that, and it's like sometimes it'll just be singing in my head, and I'll just be checking like, bye, do it what you have and start now. It might not look pretty, but start. And then you could fix it up. You could make adjustments. So even right now, that's me like start. I start and maybe things ain't all how I want it to be or how I want it to look, but you pivot, you make adjustments as you go. You see, okay, maybe I have this plan, but right now it ain't looking too feasible, so I'm gonna have to kind of adjust a little bit. And if that's what we gotta do, that's what we do, right? That's what we doing. We ain't keeping ourselves back. We ain't crying over spilled milk. We ain't leaving nothing stop us. Not this year. Not this year. So like I say, start where you are. Don't wait to be perfect. Focus on solving real problems. So if it's that you don't know exactly what you're going to offer, figure out something, focus on things that people actually want, things, real problems that people face, and that if you come and say, yeah, you solving it, damn near whatever you charge, they'll pay. Cause they checking what I need that done. If you doing it, I can come and you come. And once they see like, yeah, you doing it good, and they could rely on you, and you know, you offering good service, you'll go far. So bottom line, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know how to help someone. And that starts with clarity, structure, and execution. That's it. That's the game. That's the aim. The aim of the game. Once you're clear on what the problem is, what they need solved, and once you have a clear structure on how you going to deliver that, how you're going to actually do it. Make sure you that look. I tell you now, the execution is the most important part. So execute. Gotta make sure you deliver what you say you're going to deliver. Deliver what the people pay for. So yeah, that is that. Execute. The most important part. Cause once you deliver, they see like, yeah, man, okay, he ain't just a mouth champion. He actually about his business. He actually could do what he say he could do. Reach places, you don't go far. So that's all I gotta say on that today. And lessons in love. Love alone. I thank you. I thank you for being here and taking the time to listen. And, like I say, today was all about the consulting process. So if you aspire to be an AI consultant, if you aspire to be a consultant of any sort in any industry, this year it's a process you gonna take. Like I tell you, this is a process I just take, but this year is like the general process. You promote yourself. Once you promote yourself, people know that they could reach out to you. Once they reach out to you, you meet with them. You meet to them and agree on what it is you're offering to them. Once they agree, I agree. Once the contracts them sign, you deliver. Once you execute and time come that they get their deliverables, once they happy, everybody happy. Like I say, room for growth. I always try to leave room for growth that if anything, they have other opportunities, preferably from that same customer. Because now you don't have to go through all the discovery and meeting them, get to know them, KYC, you know. So yeah, that is that on that now. And that is all. That's all, folks. So yeah, blessings and love, my people. I really appreciate you for joining. Today another episode of the All Over It Podcast, episode 47 today. Like I say, we're going places. We got three more episodes until we reach to 50. And like I mentioned last week, I realized that just now we about to hit 1 year anniversary. That's a big deal now. I don't know if it's a big deal for you, but that's a big deal for me. You know what it is? 1 year straight, 1 year straight every Monday. That's consistency, man. Maybe ain't every day, ain't like people going in the gym every day and working out every day, but it's a good start to becoming somebody that consistent on that level too. So, once you do that, you could you show yourself like, yeah, I could be consistent too. And then you try develop on that too. You're checking, okay, if I could be consistent every week, then maybe I could be consistent more times out of the week, 3 times out of the week. Then you do every day, and then 2 tools you're checking what? Consistency. So like I say, we all about executing. We about executing with excellence, trying to make sure that people see our worth and value and that we deliver on what we say we're going to. So that being said, today, March 23rd, 2026, we had a good one. Appreciate you for being here. Like I say, episode 47 today. Next week is 48. We building, we reaching places. And yeah, just know I have more great stuff in store for you to come. Catch me here again next week. As per usual, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hey, Oliver, all over it. And all over it podcast. Uncovering it all. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Whatever you want to know, whatever you need to know this day and age, we uncovering it. Yeah. So like I mentioned, we got some good interviews coming up. Once everything is finalized, you'll see those flyers. And yeah, just Be blessed, my people. It's love alone, It's love alone. It's spreading love to you. Hope you have a blessed week ahead. I'll say my week started well. God bless. And I pray to just keep that momentum. So as I say, today was another episode. I appreciate you for joining. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Even after the live done, you could still leave comments. Trust and believe. They'll go check them back. So let me know if you got a question. Reach out. Check. But yeah, blessings and love. Have a blessed and productive week ahead, my people. Thank you for your time. Catch you here next week on another episode of the All Over It podcast.